Hi, on the Woodpecker today, I'm using offcuts of my countertop and my caps to hold our toothbrushes. As far as I can remember, I'm throwing my toothbrush on the bottom of my medicine cabinet. But since I redid the bathroom, I also repainted the inside of both medicine cabinets. And I like to keep them without traces of toothpaste. So I decided to make a toothbrush holder with the cutoffs of our new vanity countertop. I begin by marking and cutting enough wood for 2 cups. I glue them 2 by 2, cherry at the bottom and oak on top. Then I leave this alone while the glue dries. The next morning, I'm ready to start to work on the first cup. I begin by tracing a round shape on top of the cup, so I have a better idea what to cut with the bandsaw. This will help turning the cup. Next, I drill a hole in the center. In it, I screw a turning screw. Now I'm ready to start. After checking this on my lathe and pushing the tailstock on the end, I turn a nice cylinder. When it's small enough, I remove it from the lathe and also remove the screw. I switch my chuck jaws for my biggest and chuck my future cup on them. Then I turn a concave shape on the bottom and sand this. Next, I turn the cup around, the cherry side on the chuck, and with my biggest bit, I drill a hole. And now the hole is deep enough. But it doesn't look nice with all those burned marks. I fix this by making the hole bigger. I make sure that it's now nice inside. And since it is, I round the top. Now I'm ready for the final sanding. But here, I goof up big time. Yes, I turned the cup around because the jaws mark the bottom of the cup and I try to remove the marks. Big mistake. I now have a cup in several pieces and I even lost some of them inside the shop. So it's now time to restart on the other glue-ups I made yesterday. I do all the same operations as the other, except when it's time to hold the bottom to the chuck. This time around, I add some protection. But it's not my day. But this time, I have all the pieces. I glue them back directly on the lathe and add 1 clamp. But I lied. I'm missing a tiny piece. I'm mixing some turning shaving with glue and try to fix this. Now I just have to pray this will be okay and wait for the glue to dry. But I don't really have faith that this will work. So I cut a piece of cherry. Then I sand it straight on both faces. Finally, I cut 4 blocks. To give those caps a nicer look, I also cut 2 pieces of walnut. Then I glue all of this together. 1 block of cherry at the bottom, 1 thin layer of walnut, and cherry again on top. I clamp this with 4 clamps and wait for the glue to dry. The next morning, all the glue is dry And the very first thing I do is to try to salvage the cup, which is still on the lathe. I begin by sanding the excess glue on the outside. Then I sand it up to 600. The outside is not that bad. I also need to remove the excess glue inside the cup. I couldn't believe it, but I actually managed to save this cup after all. But since I also glued more wood blocks yesterday, I'll turn 2 other cups. It's all the same as the one I just did. And now, since I know what not to do, this goes pretty well. And in no time, I have 2 perfect cups. For the finish, I'm going to open this brand new jar of beeswax. I rub this everywhere outside and inside the cup. When I'm done with my cherry oak cup, I do the same thing with the 2 others. And here's the final result. But I also have 1 broken cup, and I finally found the missing pieces several feet away from the lathe. I glue them in place, and I managed to also save this cup. And here's the result. Not bad at all. Okay, it could be better, but for our toothbrushes, this will have to do. But I must admit that the last 2 are the nicest. That's the reason why I gave them away at our retirement party. Yes, I gave both of them to Jess and Nancy, my 2 co-workers who I worked the longest with. I think they were happy, but probably not as happy as me to give them away. This was how I made our new toothbrushes holders that really match our new vanity. So, see you soon for my next episode of the Woodpecker.